Although Steve White's 89. Well, it is the 60th anniversary of Marilyn Monroe's death. Although the circumstances of her death are still unclear and exactly when she died is still unclear, but it appears that she died either way on the night of the 4th of August, 1962, so 60 years ago. There's so many stories, so many ideas of why and how she died. The popular myth, or I think it's a myth, is that she just took an overdose, that she tried to kill herself. The second sort of most popular myth, I think, also, is that she accidentally committed suicide. It was a probable suicide. It was accidental overdose. That she was taking sleeping pills throughout the evening, and she was waking up, taking another pill, and she just slowly overdosed. I find that unlikely because of her experience with sleeping pills for decades. The idea that she wouldn't have known what she was doing or how much she was taking, and that she would have been able to accidentally overdose, that she didn't have a huge resistance to them, which would have been its own problem. Then you have the issues of how, because you get into the whole Kennedy thing. People suggest that Robert Kennedy had her killed, that the CIA had her killed, the government had her killed because she knew too much about UFOs, the Bay of Pigs, nuclear weapons, all these things that apparently JFK discussed with her. She apparently kept a red diary, a red journal, mostly to take notes so that she could maintain intelligent conversation with JFK on the issues that were interesting to him, but accidentally, recorded all these incredibly important and top secret things that she shouldn't have known and certainly shouldn't have been talking about. And the idea that she could just talk about these things, that she was a loose cannon, that she was unpredictable. The idea that RFK was involved with her and that he had her, allegedly had her killed because she was so outraged that he broke up with her. He supposedly broke up with her in person. He supposedly went to her home on the evening that she died, and that there was a huge fight, and that she was subdued by his security, and that they were afraid that she was going to cause trouble, so that they gave her a hot shot of sleeping pills, or they gave her an enema of sleeping pills. And her maid, Mrs. Murray, for a long time stuck to the story that Marilyn went to bed around 8:30, and Mrs. Murray went to bed and Marilyn had a light on under her door, and she woke up at 3 a.m, the light was still on, and she knocked on the door, didn't hear anything. She went to the window, saw her dead, and that's when she called the doctor, and the doctors came and they called the police at around 4 a.m. That's the official story. But years later, she turned around on that, and it's unclear whether she knew she was being recorded or not, and turned around on that and said, "No, I've been telling this story for decades. I'm tired of it. Basically, Robert Kennedy's people came and they had to cover it all up because it was all involving him, and I've had to lie about it for years." And so there's that sort of version of the story, which was supported by people who allegedly saw him in Los Angeles that night, leaving after that, and stories of what's his name, Arthur Jacobs, being called out of the Hollywood Bowl at a concert at 11 p.m. So obviously Ms. Murray couldn't have found Marilyn as late as 3 a.m. that night if at 11 p.m. people were already being called about the situation. The idea that they had to cover up or do something with the murder, they couldn't just let it, or her death or the suicide or the accidental suicide, that it was staged. The position her body was in, the fact that she had mottling or whatever it is on her back, which usually comes from when your body's laying on its back, but she was laying on her front. There are so many things. I think this is going to be one of the endearing mysteries of popular culture and Hollywood, because I don't think this is ever going to be solved, because there's too much conflicting evidence. Now, I don't believe she killed herself deliberately. Did she accidentally overdose? It's possible. Was she killed by someone who thought she was going to be a problem? That's possible too. I just wanted to make a little video on the 60th anniversary of her death, just to mark it, to commemorate it. And I'm going to do a little bit of a documentary myself, looking at all the different versions or theories of how she died sort of at this point, and looking at some new tapes and things that came up in the last year or so, and some documentaries. But I'll do that soon, possibly tomorrow, to mark the other anniversary of her other death, the other version of her death. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think.